Hey everybody. So we're not who we think we are. And I was listening to Alan Watts this morning, and he said, when you stop thinking, you become who you truly are. Thich Nhat Hanh also stated something very interesting. He said, I think, therefore I am not really here. Ego is essentially one big giant thought that we have carefully crafted and cultivated since we have been born, since we've been alive. We have been told to create this person that we're supposed to be and who we think we are, and create a personality and a persona. And the Greek root of the word persona legitimately means mask, as a mask worn in Greek or Roman dramas. And so we've been creating this mask all our lives, and we consistently have tricked ourselves into believing that that mask wasn't a mask, that it was something that was actually a part of ourselves. I'm here to help you unravel everything and unlearn everything that we have learned about ourselves. And that's what discovering who you truly are really is. It's unlearning all of the things that we have been taught that this is who you are. Create yourself, find yourself, and who are we looking for? Who are we trying to create? Because when we begin, I used to say that all the time, you don't find yourself, you create yourself. And I mean, who am I exactly creating? This is an epiphany that I'm having right now. Because once we begin to create a person for ourselves, we engrave that person into our brains and trick ourselves into thinking that this is who we are. And that is so limiting. First of all, that is extremely limiting to the potential and power that you have as an energy field, as a soul, as an inner being. Creating a person and making yourself think that that is the person that you are is extremely limiting. It's extremely limiting. So ego comes up in so many different ways in our lives, and it's not just thinking that I am somebody that I'm really not. It comes up when we hesitate, when we're afraid to do something, when we create perceptions of ourselves through what we think other people are thinking about us, about who we are. When we hesitate, that's our ego shining through, and our ego is saying, don't do that, you're going to look stupid, or don't do that, you really don't know what you're doing. And so you kind of you hesitate, you go for it for a second, and then you take a step back. But what would happen if you went for it fully? If you went for it fully, did not think twice about it? Because when you go for something, when you do something and you are conscious without thought, that is the truth. That is your energy. That is your soul exuding out of you. That is you being who you truly are, which is soul. And our ego comes in as well when we are afraid. And this kind of melts into hesitation. So when we're afraid, that's your ego talking. Ego feeds off of fear. That is its favorite food. And so your bug. So when you're wanting to do something, and I also speak from my own experiences as well, when you're wanting to do something, when we are wanting to do something for ourselves, and we have this doubt that maybe we can't do it, we're not capable of doing it. Why would I try to do that when a million other people are doing the same exact thing? What chances do I have of doing something that I really want? That doubt comes from those thoughts that have been curated and engraved into your ego, into this massive thought. We can think about ego as a massive thought. So your thoughts of doubt and hesitation and fear are engraved into this ego, and then they come out. These emotions come out when you're doing things and throughout your daily life. And sometimes we don't even realize how our ego affects everything that we do in our lives, in our daily lives. We have to start asking ourselves the right questions. Am I really afraid, or do I just think that I'm afraid? Who you truly are, your energy. Energy is soul, it's consciousness. So it's conscious without thought. It just is. That's all that we are. And so when we allow that energy to exude out of us by ceasing to have thought and by ceasing to believing that our thoughts are who we are, we start to begin to unravel and unlearn everything that we have been taught. It's very interesting to see how the ego plays out in our daily lives. This is one of the reasons for self-consciousness is our ego. Our ego may be solely responsible for why we become self-conscious. And so Alan Watts says it so beautifully in his book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, that we cannot experience something and have thoughts about it simultaneously. It's virtually impossible. And so when we're having a moment with somebody, or just a moment, when we're having any moment or any experience, but let's talk specifically when we're in a conversation with somebody and we're talking to them, and then we start to become when we start to become self-conscious, we are thinking about ourselves, and so we're experiencing and we're having these thoughts that are occurring and creating memories of what just happened, of what we just said, of the experience that we just had. And this occurs so rapidly that it gives the illusion that those thoughts are the actual experience. But since we are unable to think in an experience, we only have thoughts about an experience or about what has happened in the past, or we also have thoughts and ideas about what might happen in the future. And past and future are also concepts. They are also thoughts. If you think about it this way, we have our ego as a thought, we have our past as a thought, and we have our future as a thought. And all of these thoughts masquerade as parts of who we think we are. We are always in the present moment. Thinking about the past or the future isn't stopping you from being here right now, consciously and fully thinking about who we are, what we just did, what might happen, or what has happened are only thoughts that cover up what's actually happening right in front of us. We can create a person, any person that we want. We can create a character and make ourselves believe that that's who we are. And then we can get upset when we don't do things that this character would do, when we don't say things that this character would do. And that's because this isn't you. You're not a character, you're energy. It's a cycle, and the ego creates this cycle. I have learned personally that whenever I create a perception of myself in my head of who I think, perception is who you think you are. Perception is another thought, another concept, another mental formation. And so when I do this, I continuously set myself up for disappointment or upset, unhappiness, because I try to do things that this perception of myself, this person would do, or what this person's supposed to do, what I think this person's supposed to do, who I think this person's supposed to be. And then when that doesn't happen, I get upset, I criticize, I judge. So I learn how to relinquish those perceptions and relinquish those thoughts. But first, we need to notice them. That's the biggest thing. We need to notice these thoughts first, because a lot of the times thoughts pass over in our brains and we let them, because thoughts come and go so quickly, and a lot of our thoughts are also buried in our unconsciousness, and we're not even aware of them yet. And so once we first learn how to notice these things, how to notice when ego comes up, how to notice when we're beginning to create a person, a persona, a perception of ourselves in our brains, then that is when the healing begins. That is when you begin to become who you truly are. It's very interesting to think about all these different ways that our thoughts affect us, and especially when they're working so hard to create a person that we try to live up to. When we allow our energy to exude out of us, we learn how to move with the energy field of the universe. So I hope you find some healing through my content, and please stay tuned, please subscribe. There's more content to come, so we'll see what other epiphanies come up. We'll see what happens. So we can't predict the future. Thank you for watching.